What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Hope you guys are all doing well, enjoying your Saturday, getting ready for the Mike Tyson fight later tonight, which I'm excited about, although I have no clue what to expect with all the, rules and stipulations and everything else. Once again, we appreciate all the support, all the listens and everything else during the live streams and our Tuesday show. More than appreciated. Big news today, though. Looks like Ryan Fitzpatrick is in line to start tomorrow. Tua downgraded to doubtful. And I see a lot of people that are celebrating this as if it's good for the tank. The veteran Fitzpatrick going out there against our young secondary. But I look at it a little bit differently just because we know what Fitzpatrick kind of is. We saw it in 2015 down the stretch, week 17 at Buffalo. We saw it throughout 2016, even after he was benched for Geno Smith. The motivated Fitz coming back wasn't much better. I just think that at a certain point, wherever he goes, he always wears out his welcome. And usually the Fitzmagic ride usually comes to an end at some point, November, December. If it's a meaningful game, that's usually where we see him revert back to his old ways. It's just who Fitzpatrick is. So at some point, I feel like he's going to revert back to that, a 2-3 interception game. It's, kind of tough to see it against the Jets, just, again, with our young secondary and how many holes we have on our defense. But again, he could do that at any given moment. And that's what you worry about, because if we're going to be competitive in this game, if we're going to even win it, you want it to be because Sam plays well. You want it to, be with Mims and Becton and those guys doing it. If it's, Fitzpatrick handing you pick sixes, that's the last thing you want to see. And certainly I don't think anybody wants to see the win. I can understand wanting to see Sam and the young guys play well, which I'm definitely rooting for. But if anything, I'd love to see a shootout loss. I'm just worried about Fitzpatrick. The other news of the day, which is very interesting, Matt Patricia, he gets fired in Detroit. Again, another coach, along with Bill O'Brien, fired mid-season, yet the Jets can't fire Adam Gase for whatever fucking reason. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to say at this point. I agree with what Tyson said in his last video, that nothing that happens over these final 6 games should change Adam Gase's future. He's proven what he is at this point, dead last or close to dead last in almost every single offensive category. The injuries aren't an excuse because they happen almost every year with him and other coaches, other teams. They always find ways to adjust. Their systems elevate players. They set guys up for success. His offense, his scheme, it doesn't do that. And, this past offseason, he had a chance to kind of bring in a lot of his own guys, brought in Frank Gore, brought in Perriman, shipped out Robbie Anderson, shipped out a lot of other guys that have found homes elsewhere. Yet the guys that he brings in, they're either injured or, the other guys that we bring in, that we plug and play, they don't get the job done. And he touts that as an excuse for why he can't open up his offense and get the most out of things here. So he was brought in specifically to elevate Sam Darnold. And look at the way we're talking about Sam right now. And so if other teams can fire their coaches midseason, it still baffles the hell out of me that Adam Gase is employed and that there's talk about him potentially still being able to save his job over these final 6 games. I think that's just completely fucking ridiculous. I don't care how good Sam looks, how good the offense looks, how many wins you manage to steal and ruin the tank. It doesn't matter. Adam Gase should be out the fucking door because he's proven what he is. And so on that regard also, just slightly touching on Sam here, I'll say the same thing for Sam too. The same way that we're saying there are no excuses for Adam Gase anymore, now is the time where there's no excuses for Sam. Early in the year, yeah, he had 2 healthy wideouts, banged up offensive line, the play calling was absolute shit. I wasn't going to bury him for that. But right now, we saw what the offense was able to do the last 2 weeks. Gase opened it up a little bit. 3 healthy wideouts, Herndon coming off his best game of the year. There are no excuses for Sam not to play well. Again, it's not going to be perfect. Fant's banged up. Adoga's banged up. Alex Lewis is questionable. It's not going to be perfect, but guess what? You're supposed to be a franchise quarterback in New York City. So at some point, you have to prove the same way we're asking Adam Gase as a head coach to elevate guys around him and make guys better. You as the franchise quarterback, if you want to prove that you deserve to stay here over Trevor Lawrence, you have to do that. And for some people, I get it. No matter what Sam does over these 6 games, it's not going to change the fact that we want Trevor Lawrence. But guess what? If he ends up winning a game or 2 and you're not picking first overall, he's probably coming back next year, and you're going to have to adjust to that because I don't think they're trading up for Trevor Lawrence, nor do I think if the Jaguars get that first overall pick that they would trade down or trade out of it. So that's pretty much where we're at. If we win a game or 2, we're probably not picking first overall, and then it's a matter of, do you trust Justin Fields? Or if we're picking, 3rd or 4th, you have no choice. Sam Darnold's back. So, for me, again, I think it's a good thing if Sam plays well, but you still want the loss because that first overall pick, that's the ticket to the head coach. We could debate all we want about the quarterback, the potential trade package that you might be able to get back, whether or not it's worth it to build around Sam versus starting over with Lawrence. But for me, the big selling point is still with the new head coach which we absolutely need. If you have the first overall pick, that's your best way to get the best candidate in your building as that selling point. And so if that coach decides, hey, I don't want to work with Sam, I want to start over with Trevor Lawrence, all right, fine. I'll wish Sam the best of luck. I hope he succeeds elsewhere. But for right now, middle of the season, with everything that's gone against him, how poorly they've set him up, I just think it's morally wrong to be actively rooting against him, rooting for his failure, calling him a bust, trying to ship out a 23-year-old kid that was so highly touted just a year ago, and they've done nothing to help him, and we're adding on. I just think that's morally wrong. I just can't do it. So I'm rooting for Sam to play well. I hope he plays well, but I do hope it's in a loss as well. So talk to you guys later. It's going to be an interesting game. We may do a live stream for the fight, but we'll see what happens. I know it's going to be a little bit late, but definitely talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll have the bingo board set up and ready. So go Jets, go Sam, but we still want the loss, so go Fitzpatrick too.